otherwise known as Beth Green, otherwise known as Granny Rocks.
And I'm Sweet Baby James, one of Santa's helpers. So Merry Christmas, everybody, and Happy Holiday as well.
Indeed, indeed. So tonight I'm going to talk about, this is the name of my topic, Mrs. Santa Claus is here to give us the best gift. What is it? Ooh, is that intriguing? But before we get into it, I'm going to introduce you to Sweet Baby James is going to introduce our show.
Well, yes, thank you everybody for coming. Welcome to Granny Rocks, where every Wednesday night at 6:30 p.m. Pacific, Granny shares her wit, her wisdom, and her very uncommon sense. So stay tuned. And now, here's Granny.
So, we have been so busy lately that it's like, oh my God, look at this. Tomorrow is Christmas Eve. Now, to me, I have to tell you, oh, Elizabeth said hi and sent a heart. Hi, Elizabeth. So glad that you have already responded so we know we're broadcasting. That's always such a great relief to us. So, and we didn't get home very long ago. We were on the road and everything went wrong, and and you were always having problems getting here at the last minute. So when I was growing up, we did not celebrate Christmas. Would you ask me why?
Why?
Well, because we weren't Christian.
Well, that's a good reason.
It's very, very simple. I came from a Jewish family, and we didn't celebrate Christian holidays, and I thought that those crazy, the Mishagoyim, this is like the crazy Gentiles, what were they doing with all of the gifts and the presents and all that? Didn't even understand. I didn't understand.
As a kid, weren't you a little envious?
No. I first of all, we had no money. So even if we had been Christian, our Christmas gifts would have been pretty slim.
Empty socks.
Pretty empty socks. Yeah, right. Speaking of socks, so I grew up, in the Jewish religion, and around the same time as Christmas comes Hanukkah, which has nothing to do with Christmas. It's the Festival of Lights. And I don't know whether this was just to pacify the Jewish children or what, but we had little Hanukkah gift that we got. Oh, by the way, we got a heart from Catalina.
Hi,
Hearts
Catalina.
back to Catalina.
Thank you.
And the Hanukkah gift that we would get would be like a coin made out of chocolate. And that would be it. And if there was anything else, it would be like a pair of socks. That you needed anyway. So you got it on Hanukkah because, contrary to this, I don't know where people got this idea that all Jews are rich, but contrary to that idea, we were not rich, and neither were any of the other Jewish people we knew. So anyway, and then I discovered what was going on with Christmas. I mean, with the presents and the toys and everything, we didn't get that kind of stuff. And I bet there's a lot of you out there who either didn't get a whole lot of stuff for Christmas because your family couldn't afford it, or your family got all this stuff and then they had to pay for it all year, and that's a terrible thing. So I always thought it was crazy. So I had absolutely no desire to celebrate Christmas. But my real positive association with Christmas was hearing Handel's Messiah. The oratorio, everybody?
Oh, yeah.
For unto us a child is born. So I loved classical music. I grew up with classical music. And we would go to a concert at my brother's college, and, and they sang this gorgeous music. And I loved it. And I would, be humming and singing, and I wanted to know the words and all of that. And as long as I didn't pay attention to the words and feel conflicted about the meaning of it, I could really enjoy that spiritual energy that came through that gorgeous music. And then as time went on, I heard other gorgeous Christmas music like Silent Night. And I thought that music is beautiful. And it's something about music, whether it's music from Muslim societies or Jewish societies or Native American or the Chinese opera, I couldn't follow. I couldn't understand that music. I have to admit that. But a lot of other Asian music, I just loved it. Music is music, has spiritual quality. And that I really connected to. So to me, the spirit of Christmas was not about presents. It was the beautiful music, the spiritual energy, the peace, that came from listening to this divine music that people like Johann Sebastian Bach, which, who I'm assuming many of you have heard of, or, have actually even heard his music. Oh my God! You just felt like you were being lifted off the planet. And Jewish music too. I love Jewish music. It's not the same kind. It's very plaintive and very heartfelt. And I love that music too. And so that's really my positive association. Now, as the years passed, and I became more and more engaged with non-Jewish people, I came to, their celebrations or whatever it is, and I participated and enjoyed all of the traditions that they were engaged in, just like I would have enjoyed the traditions, of any social group, except for all the sugar, which wasn't good. Not good for any of us. So not. And so anyway, that was a nice thing. And then I got married to someone. I didn't want to tell. Well, I'm talking about the best Christmas gift, and I'm going to tell you what it is in a minute after I get finished babbling. But you have to wade through all of this before I get there. So, and then I was married to a man who grew up, in the Christian tradition, even though he wasn't a Christian, and he loved Christmas. And so then I had a Christmas tree and I enjoyed it, and he brought me presents and I liked it. You know what I mean? I don't care about the presents now, but it's wonderful to be able to enjoy the traditions and the holidays and the good spirit and the good cheer and the love and the sense of community that comes with holidays that people celebrate together. Mm-hmm. And that's what, because sweet baby James was not brought up Jewish. I know, it's a surprise. He looks Jewish, doesn't he? Look at that
Well,
nose.
I'd like to share that as a boy, I noticed that at Christmas time, people were especially nice.
Were they?
Yeah, Merry Christmas, how are you? And people were just unusually nice.
That was before they fought each other at the stores on the day before Christmas or after Thanksgiving, or they trampled each other on the way.
I did love that about Christmas, that there was so much more goodwill.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's the commercialism. Well, it's a bit kind of sad, and what you really want to feel, I think, at any holiday is that you're surrounded by people that you love and who love you. And that's really what it's all about, isn't it? And I don't care what holiday it is or what religion you're from, or, whether you're a Buddhist or whatever, or you're an atheist or an agnostic or anything. We want to be around people who love us and who we love as well. But now I want to get to Mr. Santa Claus. That would be me. I just came in from the North Pole.
Okay.
That's why I didn't have time for much of anything before we started the show. I almost wore this big fuzzy fur hat that I inherited, 50 years ago, that I bought in a second-hand store because it was warm, and I thought I feel too guilty about the dead animal, even though the animal has been, because that way it was second-hand 50 years ago. God knows how old that hat really is, and I considered wearing it. But I just, I feel guilty every time I do. But anyway, so I'm Mrs. Santa Claus. So what can I give you that is a really, really good gift? Well, I can't create an environment for you where people love you or you love them. I would like to. I mean, we really need that, don't we?
We do.
Look at the world we live in. Look at our society. People are just nuts. People are, the conspiracy theories, and people still think that the election is still going on. And I feel very resentful, I have to say, that the president is saying that the stimulus package doesn't give enough money to people, which I totally agree with, but why couldn't he have said that last week or 2 weeks ago and had his Treasury Secretary fight for that money now? No, he has to always make a splash for himself. See, I'm sorry, guys. Some of you are really supporters of the president, And you probably are upset with me for like saying something like that that is negative to the Santa Claus that you believe in. But I really feel manipulated by that, and I would love to see nothing more than to see him win this, of actually getting the Republican Party behind a really decent chunk of money for people, not least of whom we need it too. But we really do. So anyway, but so I'm saying, well, I can't give you a loving world and a loving society. I can't. I can't give you a loving home. So what am I going to do? So I would like to give you. Oh, Todd says, hi, Mrs. Claus and James. Hi there, Todd. So what I've decided, the best gift that I can give you, I can't even give you that, but it's the closest, is the best gift that I can give you is self-love. Because that's the only one we have any chance of being able to control. Now, it is true that if you're a nice person and you're generous and kind to other people, the likelihood is that you're more likely to get people responding to you in a loving way. You know, whereas if you're a grumpy and so I mean, I can say that to you. If you want to live in a more loving world, try being more loving and see if that doesn't help a lot. But I can't make somebody love you who doesn't. And I can't make you love somebody that you don't. But what about loving us? What about starting with self-acceptance and moving to self-love? Now, what do I mean by self-acceptance? Do I mean that when you act like a shit, that's okay? You know, it really, really bothers me that people talking so violently towards one another and being hateful and threatening each other. That bothers me. This is not the world that I want to live in. And certainly not the one that I'm trying hard to co-create my whole life. But the same is true on the inner plane. And what do I mean by self-acceptance? So I said I don't mean that we can do shitty things and that's okay. But it means the acceptance part is what I call in my book Living with Reality. It's really about allowance that it is so. And that's what I'm talking about. Now we have, let's see, okay, we have a good morning from Ali with something in Turkish that I can't answer because we see a translation. Good morning to two beautiful hearted people. Live in life and health. May God grant you all the best years. Now I will take that. And Ali,
bless you, Ali.
Bless you, Ali. And he sent a heart, and we are loving that, and we're accepting that too. So I mean that we've become, and I was just talking to a group about this on Sunday, and it had a huge impact on me. So this is why I want to share it with you, because maybe it'll help you, at least to some degree, as much as it helped me. It's like I started to say to myself, what am I observing about myself? And can I just stop at the observation? Like, oh, I am having a hard time with this. I'm getting angry now. I am acting like a jerk to these people. Farid said, good luck, and good luck to you, Farid. I'll take it. I need good luck. We all need good luck. So what I mean is I have to allow that I am who I am. Now, that means that if I'm not good at something, that's okay. It means nothing. It has no meaning. And Juma said, very good morning, dear ma'am. And very good morning to you, Juma. So happy to see you tonight as well. I love that when our dear friends from around the world come and join with us live. And I love it when our dear friends from around the country do the same. So it's like I get it. I accept that I have these qualities. That is what I'm talking about. That is what self-acceptance is. Amy sent a heart with hearts around it. Thank you. We can use that. You see, sending love. So I don't see very much of self-acceptance in the way that I am describing it. It's that I am observing that I am this way. Maybe I am just this way in the moment. Now, recently, I had several experiences where I wasn't in the greatest state of mind, and I really looked at it and I said, that's how I am right now. Now, this is not news, anybody. It's not like no one has ever said this before. You know, it's probably been said 100,000 million times, but I'm still going to say it because we still need it. We still need this. And I would like to help all of us tonight to get this gift, which is to say, this is how I am being right now. And then not go into self-judgment. Why? Because guess what happens when we go into self-judgment?
We criticize ourselves. We separate from ourselves.
Yes. And often we end up being angry and defensive. You know, how many people are walking around and they're saying, oh God, that was a foolish thing. You know, I made a mistake there. They're not doing that. They're acting like they're right. You know, that they made the right choice, that they knew what they were doing, or whatever, and it was something else's fault, or somebody else's fault. So they feel defensive, or I should say we, because when I get into this, it's me too. We feel defensive, and then we get angry because we're defending ourselves against our own self-accusation. And we're always evaluating ourselves. As I said, we were talking about this in a group, an intuition training that I led this weekend, and I found it incredibly helpful to remind myself of this simple fact that if I could just look at things and observe them and not make it even be about me. Now, how could you say, well, but if you're acting like a maniac, Beth, how can it not be about you? Well, it's not about me. It's about my reaction at that moment, or about my behavior at that moment. So I own that's my behavior, or that's my reaction, but it's not me. It's just some aspect of my consciousness that is acting out. Or let's say I'm weak. I'm physically weak, or I'm mentally weak, or I'm anything. It means nothing. It has no meaning. There is no comparison. We are not there to compare ourselves to others, and that's what we do in our minds all the time. There's a constant stream of nonsense going through our heads about I'm not as good as this, or I'm better than that, or I should be more like this, or why don't I have so-and-so's talent, or whatever. It's this constant thing. Now, if we just observe, it just becomes the observant. You know, I'm pretty good at this. I'm really not good at that. I seem to be weak today, or God, I've made a lot of mistakes today. I wonder why. Just kind of like that. It's not about me. It's noticing something about my behavior at that time, which opens me up to the inquiry. I wonder why I'm having such a hard time. Or, yeah, that's true. I am weak in that way. I mean, when I was little, and I would hear people describing things like, oh, it had a nose like this, and it was like in the moors and all of that. And I didn't understand a word they were saying. I never did understand descriptions, and I still don't. If you tell me a description of something physical, you might as well be speaking to me in Greek, as they say in English, and I don't speak Greek. You see what I mean? So that's kind of like, okay, I just observed I'm not good at that, or I don't have that talent. And so further in the group on Sunday, what we really talked about that was so important was, well, what difference does this make? What is important, guys? What is important is getting certain things accomplished. So if we need to stop climate change, we need to stop blaming or getting defensive or doing any of those things. We need to look honestly, and there are plenty of people who really understand climate change, at what causes it, what we have to do with those causes, and start changing them. And it's not about me. It's not about how I've squandered in the past, or I'm using a gas guzzling car, or whatever it is. We have a problem, guys. It's called global warming. It's terrible storms and fires and all of that kind of stuff, right? So it's like we just look at that and say, okay, we've created this. Now what can we do to help fix it? Instead of going through, I'm to blame, or you're to blame, or they're to, So that's just one example of how that works. And that's true about everything. If I want to, Ollie is saying something, but I don't think he understands. May God grant the desires of those who have good wishes, many happy days of the return, happy returns of the day in advance. Absolutely. So, if this is true about everything, if I want to eat a good meal, then I would like to evaluate who is available, who can cook. Mm-hmm. Is it me? Is it you? Who can cook? Who's available? Who has the time? Who can go shopping? Who can do these things? And we can all collectively, best if it's many of us coming together to celebrate. And so we cook that meal together, or one person does it because they can, or they have the time, or they're good at it. And that's all there is to it. You know, life is really much simpler than we make it. We just look at what needs to be done and do it. But no, we have to make everything about, I cooked yesterday, so I shouldn't have to cook today. Or you cook better than I do, and I don't like that. And whatever it is, all this nonsense. So now what does this have to do with Christmas? Well, so the first thing that I'm saying is if we could give ourselves a gift, it would be the ability to just observe ourselves and collectively to try to solve the problems we have, which is we need to meet the needs of humans and the earth. And Blanca sent us a heart. Hello, Blanca. So good to see you. Hola. Gracias. Humanity. Let's accept who we are. Let's accept what we have done in the sense of allow it, that it is true. And now let's take a look at what do we need to do. What do we need to do to heal the body politic? What do we need to do for people to feel comfortable with what's going on and not be afraid that just because their candidate lost that something terrible will happen? What do we all need to do in order to change the environment in which we live politically and socially, and to show some love and understanding? Blanca says hello, Beth. So we need to collectively create that world by recognizing that this is what we need. We need this. We need peace. We need kindness. We need to take care of our environment. We need to take care of our health. We need to stop stressing about ourselves. So much of our stress is caused by our feeling that we need to be better than we are, or someone else. So much pain, so much distress, so much wasted time and energy trying to prove something about ourselves that we didn't do it, or we really knew, or we're no, or whatever nonsense we're doing that we're expending energy. No, let's take all that energy that we're putting into hating ourselves and one another, and competing, and comparing, and doing all of that. Oh, now Blanca said hello, Beth and James. Yes, better yet, right? Let's take that energy and say, here we are. It's the holiday season of 2020 in this country and in many countries around the world. And we have so many unmet needs. Humanity and our earth. And how do we meet them? Together, without proving anything in particular about ourselves, about how smart we are or how powerful we are. We don't need to do that. we need to focus on what needs to happen. People need those stimulus checks, and they need them yesterday. It's not about points. It's not about winning. It's not about looking any particular way. It's about getting that money where it needs to be.
Mm-hmm.
We need to get medical care to people who need it. All the time, not just about the coronavirus. We need universal health care. We need clean energy and clean food and clean water. These are the things we need. We don't need fame. We don't need power. You will die faster from poisoned water than you will from a negative review by someone on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
We have given so much value to how we look. And I don't just mean physical appearance, although, my God, we've given so much value to our physical appearance. We need to start giving more value to how we feel, to having clean food and water, good, healthy conversations, love, peace. Let's try to do that together. And let's start with ourselves, with giving ourselves the gift of accepting who we are without demanding that we're any different. Seeing our weaknesses and asking for help when we need it. If I don't have a capacity, I need to give up the nonsense that somehow I should hide that, or that it should be different. I can just say, I don't know how to do that. I do not have the capacity to do that. Can you help me? And that's my wish for you, for this Christmas, this holiday, every day, for the rest of our lives. We'll see you next week
Mm-hmm.
when we will wrap up our New Year show.
Yes, we will.
So I didn't give you a chance to say anything, sweet baby James, but we've got to go.
We do.
We're running late
It's
for our own group.
time.
We have a group in 3 minutes.
I'll just say I love the theme of making allowance for oneself and releasing myself from any negative judgments about I couldn't do this, I couldn't do that. It doesn't matter. I'm not who I am is not what I do.
Right. And that's to be loved.
Yeah.
Let's give ourselves love for the holidays. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Have a happy holiday.
Bye.